Chapter 11, the Dostoevskian Apocalypse. Existentialism has made the word freedom fashionable. After the war, we were constantly told that the novelist cannot reach the heights of genius unless he respects the freedom of his characters. Unfortunately, we were never told in what form such respect should be. The notion of freedom is inevitably ambiguous when applied to the novel. If the novelist is free, it is hard to see how his characters would be. Freedom cannot be shared even by created and creator. This is a fundamental dogma, and Jean-Paul Sartre uses it to try to prove the impossibility of a God the Creator. What is impossible for God could not be possible for a novelist. Either the novelist is free and his characters are not, or else the characters are free and the novelist, like God, does not exist. These logical contradictions do not seem to embarrass the theoreticians of contemporary fiction. Their freedom derives from a hopeless confusion of a philosophical usage of the term with its daily usage. For most critics, freedom is synonymous with spontaneity. The novelist should pay no attention to psychology. In other words, he should create characters whose actions are never predictable. Strangely enough, Dostoevsky is considered the originator of the spontaneous character. Notes from the Underground has been particularly highly praised. It has almost become the breviary of the new school. The first part receives most attention and scarcely any of the second part, which is the only true novelistic part, is noticed except the astonishing freedom, i.e. spontaneity, of the underground character. This fantastic independence evidently this fantastic independent This fantastic independence evidently produces such surprising effects that we are told we should find in them the greatest aesthetic pleasure. The critics do not seem to be aware of either the insolent officer or Zverkov. The mediator is simply suppressed. The laws of underground desire, analogous to Proust's but still more rigorous, are completely overlooked. They are dazzled by the horrible convulsive spasms of the underground man. They are pleased by the irrationality of these spasms. They admire these free spasms and almost go so far as to suggest their hygienic use to the reader. The underground man is bound to be surprising if the means of understanding him are removed. If metaphysical desire is suppressed, then mechanism becomes spontaneity and slavery becomes freedom. The character's obsessions are not perceived, nor is the fierce passion which takes hold of him the moment he is rejected. The grotesque spasms disappear and a glorious rebellion against society and the human condition takes their place. Thus, the underground man who is presented for our admiration has nothing in common with Dostoevsky's creation, but he does bear a considerable resemblance to the type of hero tirelessly reproduced in contemporary fiction. Neither will Quentin in Nausea, nor Meursault in The Stranger, nor Samuel Beckett's Tramps desire metaphysically. These characters are overwhelmed by many different ailments, but the worst of all, metaphysical desire, is spared them. Our contemporary heroes never imitate anyone. They are all perfectly autonomous, and they could repeat in chorus with Valéry's test, quote, "We may look like just anyone, but we are completely self-sufficient," end of quote. Many superficial resemblances can be traced between Dostoevsky and recent fiction. In both, there is the same hatred of others, the same radical disorder, the same polymorphism, and the collapse of all bourgeois values. But the differences are far more essential. Our contemporary heroes always keep their precious freedom intact. The underground man relinquishes his to his mediator. We cannot distinguish between our alleged free spontaneity and underground slavery. How can we make such a glaring confusion? It is for one of two reasons. Either we are innocent of all metaphysical desire, or else that desire possesses us so completely that we are entirely unaware of it. The first hypothesis is not very likely, since it is incessantly repeated that the Russian novelist gives us an accurate translation of the truth of our time. We must therefore accept the second hypothesis. Dostoevsky describes us better than our contemporary writers because he reveals a metaphysical desire which we have succeeded in hiding from ourselves. We have even managed to keep the mediator hidden from ourselves while reading Dostoevsky. We admire the Russian novelist without understanding the nature of his art. If Dostoevsky is right, our heroes are false. They are false because they flatter our illusion of autonomy. Our heroes are just new romantic lies destined to prolong the Promethean dreams to which the modern world desperately clings. Dostoevsky reveals a desire that our fiction and criticism have only reflected. Our fiction hides from us the presence of the mediator in our daily existence. Our criticism hides that same mediator from us in a work expressly written to reveal his presence. By quoting Dostoevsky, this criticism is unwittingly introducing a ravenous wolf into the existential sheepfold. Beneath the superficial resemblances, there is an irreducible opposition between Dostoevsky and contemporary fiction. It is always remembered that Dostoevsky repudiated the psychological unity of the characters in his novels. And this is thought to prove that he is in agreement with our novelists. But our novelists denounce that psychological unity only in order to lay a better foundation for metaphysical unity. It was the same metaphysical unity that the bourgeois sought through psychological unity. The middle-class illusions of permanence and stability have vanished, but the aim has not altered. Under the guise of freedom, the same aim is pursued doggedly amid the anguish and chaos.